Okay, in this lesson, we are going to do a little bit more focusing on just the answers rather than the process. So if you haven't had a moment to try to do this problem yourself, I would encourage you to pause the video and try this out yourself using the steps that are given in the previous lesson. Here we're talking about the year after 1992 and the NASDAQ index, which is a stock market index. Okay? So we're going to take a moment and try to answer these questions. Once again, you should, if you're watching the video, you should pause the video now, give this problem a shot, and then come back to us when you're ready to check. Okay, so we've taken a moment in class here to look at the R values and decide that the quadratic was the best model. So we wrote down the equation, and now we're on letter D. What does this model predict the NASDAQ to be in 2012? Okay, so in order to answer that, you have to realize 2012 refers to what X value. And so you have to look here. You realize that X value equals 0 is 1992. And then the X value, X equals 1 is 1993, 1994, and so forth. So 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and this 8 here, the 8th year would actually be the year 2000. Alright? So if we want to keep going, we're talking about 2012. So that's the 8th year is 2000, and we want the year 2012. So we need 12 more years, right? So I've got 8 years here, plus another 12 would get me the year 20, corresponds to 2012. And so the question here is, what is that value? And we're going to figure it out right here. So X equals 20. So what I have to do is type into my calculator Y1 of the value 20. So if you haven't done that, I suggest you give it a shot. Try it. Y1 of 20. And our Y value, the model predicts the NASDAQ to be in 2012. What is this value? Did I say Logan? Who did I call on? Logan, go for it.
I got 32,581.
32,581. Is that right? Okay. Did anybody else get this?
0.75.
Okay, Sierra, you got it?
I got 82.
82.
Yeah, I got 82.
Okay, so I'm going to take a moment, pause the recording, figure out what's going on. Maybe this is right, maybe it's not. So there's a question mark here. I'm going to figure out the problem, and we'll get back. Okay, so after some discussion, we realize that this is the actual value here is 0.75, right? I mean, if we're going to go with just a whole number, then let's go with 32,582. So there it is. That's what would be predicted by our quadratic model. Does it necessarily have to be right? Maybe, maybe not. Let's answer the question built on the context. What is the real world meaning of this suggest to us? What would a linear, quadratic, or exponential model make more sense? Listen to me now. Would one of these models, one of these other models, make more sense based on the real world situation? I have, up to this point, not really discussed context. I did some in the very last problem, but I want to talk about context here, and trust me, this is one specific skill. Context. the situation. What do you know as high school students? What do you know about the stock market? Do you know anything about it? I mean, like, what happens? It goes up and down. That's the number one thing that happens. The stock market goes up and down. The value of someone's company or all the companies together, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, over the course of years. Ideally, if the market is doing well, it over the course of time, it's going up. There's dips, there's ups and downs, but it's going up, and that's what we're looking for. Based on that, are one of these models better? We chose quadratic, but what curve here typically over time goes up? Exponential. I don't know. I can't tell you for certain that exponential is the best choice, but I might say maybe exponential. Okay? Do any restrictions need to be made to the domain of the regression equation to keep a good fit? I'm going to say I'm going to say that you would have to actually look at the graph. I mean, obviously at some point, exponential, it's going to keep rising and rising. So, I'm going to say maybe. Do any restrictions need to be made? Maybe. But I don't want to get into what those exactly are. We'll leave it at that. We'll discuss these restrictions in another video. Thank you for watching.